Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L coming in to talk about My Hero Academia chapter 265. Hey, hope you all are doing well out there. It's troubling times. But yeah, 265, I'm hoping to get through this video quickly. Gonna make my points concise, gonna try not to ramble too much. Always a little bit of a journey. Oh no, I'm doing it again. Anyway, here we are, chapter 265. Overall, I think this was a pretty fun chapter. I love the construction of the chapter going from Tokoyami to Hawks. The author definitely went for a emotional angle there. He had to build up the emotional attachments to Hawks, so he had Tokoyami there. You can see the transition as we're going into this thing. Tokoyami's brought up because he has the connection to the Hawks. But yeah, it's a cool chapter, and there are a few thoughts that I have as we go into the future of My Hero Academia about things I'm thinking, and also some worthy points of discussion for the chapter. So let's begin. First, we'll go with my general thoughts. I'll tell you about that. And then we'll do a very quick page-by-page walkthrough of all the cool little details that I was able to spot within the chapter. Anyway, the first point that I would want to talk about is, will Hawks die? Or, what kind of ending am I projecting here for Hawks? Well, from my perspective, Hawks right now is loaded up on the Best Jeanist plot buildup. So until I know what exactly is going on with Best Jeanist, I can't really say that Hawks is going to die, because if Best Jeanist is officially dead, Hawks is the last person that saw him, and so there needs to be some kind of resolution with Hawks and Bakugo if Best Jeanist is actually truly dead. In that case, we already know that Hawks has taken note of Bakugo, and now, given last chapter, I think it's reasonable to maybe expect, like, of the many possibilities, that maybe Best Jeanist died, and maybe he told Hawks, hey Hawks, could you keep an eye out on Bakugo, and if he needs any extra help, can you lend him a hand, or something like that. Some kind of investment imparted from Best Jeanist to Hawks towards Bakugo. That's what I'm kind of envisioning. So until we see something that gives us the payoff for the Bakugo plotline, I don't think Hawks can just ride up and die. Another thing is that Hawks has a very particular rhetoric. That is, he is the man that is known for going too fast. Back in the day, I really thought Hawks was going to be the kind of person that became a monster and then would maybe have Tokoyami call him out. But with chapters like these and like this one and the one before it, it doesn't really seem like that's the case anymore. So when it comes back to Hawks, the only mention that he has in terms of his too fast rhetoric is really on page 14 or page 14 to 15. And that's the only rhetoric. And the rest of the chapter is actually a testament to how slow Hawks is being. So Hawks isn't going too fast here. So I don't see, in terms of the poetic justice or like the poetic nature of his character introduction and his character arc, I'm not seeing a death here. The author could always go for it and subvert it, or other forces could get involved in terms of decision making in the manga. But right now, I don't think Hawks is going to go down. He is at a big disadvantage with Dobby. We know that Hawks' feathers can burn up given Endeavor and Hawks' team up fight. So I'm hoping that with all the feathers he had around, that he hopefully has a few more out there. But it is looking like it's going to be tough, but I'm not foreseeing a Hawks death in the future here, just because he has other narrative responsibilities right now. If Hawks recorded himself on video and he has various video files for various people, though, that's different. But right now, not seeing it. Don't feel comfortable about that one, though. Like, this one is definitely, I'm making a bet here, but I may very well be wrong on this one. I think another area worth the discussion is, again, on the nature of heroes and what heroes are, because, again, you have Twice coming in here. He's representing a very particular view, and I think it'd be cool to kind of just go through a very quick summation of my thoughts of how I think about this particular narrative whenever it pops up in Hero Academia. So for me, heroes are just quirky civil servants, or quirky arms of the law. They exist for snap moments and not long-term problems, and this is reinforced through various points in My Hero Academia. Heroes are not equipped to solve homelessness, communal shaming, persecution of mutants, bullying. Heroes are not equipped to solve depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, or any other kind of thing that would lead to murderous impulse. And heroes are definitely not equipped to deal with the common man's bad choices and the fallout from those bad choices. Heroes are people who at best lead people to other sources or other authorities that can actually help them out better. This idea about heroes is reinforced in the provisional license exam. What were kids tested on? They were tested on hostile situations. They were tested on disaster management, disaster response, and calming people in the moment, in that snap. They aren't trained to be counselors or social workers. Another example in a different scenario. Endeavor saves someone from being run over, then has to leave because, oh geez, someone else is going to be in trouble. But what about the people left behind? What if the rescued person develops post-traumatic stress disorder because of realizing how close they were to being sent to an isekai plot by Truck-kun? That person might need therapy, but Endeavor can't do anything about that. Another example, the people that had their houses destroyed by Overhaul. Who knows how they feel? Who knows the legal problems that they're going to go through to try and get money out of insurance, or like who knows how it works in the Hero Academia world? But it's not going to be Izuku who comes in to console them over the property damage and any kind of problems that they might develop from the stress of that property damage. A quick addendum, because I know like a lot of you guys are pretty clever, and you might bring up the case of Eri and her being taken care of by heroes. And what I want to say is that, yeah, this is a pretty nuanced situation. And one of the nuances here is that if a particular hero decides that they're going to get a secondary certification, for instance, a teaching certificate, or the permission to be able to teach people, that's their prerogative. But the point is that the majority of heroes are not being trained to get all these different qualifications. And also, it is kind of funny to point out that when it comes to taking care of Eri, it's not a one hero job. Most times, Eri is being taken care of by multiple people. So, heroes are still not well equipped to raise a child. And that brings us back to Twice. When Twice says that Hawks isn't a hero, I agree. He's not a hero in terms of the idealism of the hero, of the archetype of the hero. That's not what they are, and that's not what they were ever supposed to be. That said, while Hawks doesn't fit the idealism of a hero, the situation that Hawks is in is because he was trying to be a hero, because he did what heroes do, and he was trying to lend Twice a helping hand. That's what he's ultimately... His downfall here is ultimately that he was being a hero, and this was reinforced by Dobby at the end of the chapter when he makes that comment about sentimentality. Even when Hawks is trying to be effective here, he can't shut down his feelings that make him want to help Twice out. And that's one aspect of heroism. It's helping someone else at cost to yourself. Now again, to Twice's credit, he does represent a very particular perspective, but there is ultimately a bigger scope here. And Twice just doesn't have the faculties to be able to see that bigger scope. His perspective is one that's way too locked, and in a way is also too narrow-minded in this particular perspective. But I wouldn't expect any more from him because we've already seen how compromised Twice is in his head. Ultimately, I think heroes exist to protect society so that society may have the time to find an opportunity to finally work on societal problems. But heroes are not going to be the solution to societal problems. And that is one of the problems with Hero Academia society. They as a whole are resting on the laurels of the heroes, thinking that if the heroes are around, they don't have to do better. And that's not the way things are going to work out here. People in general need to do better. And that's what Twice's line of, "You throw us to the wolves, all of us downtrodden folks," that's who that line is really speaking towards, or should be directed at. Still, I love the conflict here. And I love that we also have a very unreliable character in Twice. His perspectives are unreliable, and we see that throughout the chapter when you bring it back into perspective of what's going on here. Anyway, let's go into the page-by-page walkthrough. Let's see what we got. So page 1 is a big rundown of the situation. It's an establishing shot. It just tells us what we're going to be doing in the chapter, or the immediate goal for Tokoyami here. Cool to see this unlikely team up. This just reinforces that Horikoshi will use characters that he already has shown off before if he can help it. We go into page 2 and 3, and the most impressive thing here is I think Sun Eater made fruits. So I'm looking at pineapple and maybe durian. I think that was amazing. The centaur is what gets your attention, but he has fruits on what I assume are tentacles or vines. Man, I don't know. It looked amazing. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. It was cool. I shouldn't have been surprised because he can make crystals, but still, amazing. Anyway, we go into page 4 and 5, and that shows us an amazing shot from Tokoyami. I think that was beautiful, and seeing Tokoyami's new, super move, Ragnarok, and also seeing the control that Tokoyami has on dark and powered Dark Shadow. Come on, man. That was neat. That was so cool. Holy crap moly. I don't know if Tokoyami actually has to do the hand gestures, but hey, it looked really cool. I'm sure the kid's kind of happy on the inside. We go into page 6 and 7, and there's a few little details here. One was the size of Redestro and his prosthetics that were able to size up with him. So I was going to make comments about how not durable these things were, but given that he somehow has things that can pump up the size or scale up to match Dark Shadow, and we already saw the size of Dark Shadow in this chapter, it's all right, I will let go of the durability thing because you made a miracle device. Anyway, also in this page, we saw that he made little wings out of stress to anchor himself. So again, always really interesting to see stress interact with the environment like that? It's an interesting idea. It's a really, really interesting idea. I have so many questions about the material of stress. Anyway, not the point. So we go into page 8 and 9. And I think this is a really important page because it's the potential for something to go wrong here. Remember, wherever an assumption is made is where you're most likely incorrect. This is very true in science. This is sometimes true in narrative, depending on what exactly the writer wants to focus on. So Dark Shadow sees Gigantomachia, which also, thank you, author, for showing us Gigantomachia. And Dark Shadow calls him a monster. And my question is, on what grounds do you call that a monster? Are you being shapist? I don't know. Is he calling him a monster because of looks? Well, I don't know. He just saw Redestro turn into a giant thing that was able to hold him back. Are you calling him a monster because of some really weird Dark Shadow type sense? Maybe. Is Dark Shadow able to sense something else from it? He saw this when he was in his own monstrous form. He is a little bit reduced when he's talking to Tokoyami, but it's like, what exactly are you measuring here, Dark Shadow? Is this all visual, or is there something else below that? Gigantomachia is an aberration of nature, so there might legitimately be something about it that doesn't seem right to Dark Shadow, but it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. All it does, though, from the point of narrative, is that it establishes or builds up Gigantomachia. That's all it does in that particular page. Anyway, the other thing with page 8 that's dangerous is, of course, Fat Gum telling us that Gigantomachia is not going to move without a direct order from the boss, and that the boss is sitting this one out and then just leaving Gigantomachia alone. I think that is absolutely dangerous. You are assuming that there's no order coming in from him. There is an assumption that no order is coming in from Shigaraki because Shigaraki is under control, or the doctor is under control. But really, like, from my perspective, all it takes is the doctor like pushing a button, and all of a sudden the radio that Gigantomachia holds onto turns on and gives out a giant like beacon, a distress call. That's all it would really take. This isn't rocket science. This is a very, very dangerous assumption. This is going to be interesting because right now there's a bomb there that people think is defused, but not really. Anyway, page 9 just transitions us over into the Hawks part of the chapter. And in page 10 and page 11, I think one of the most important things to take away is just, again, reinforcing the connection between Hawks and Tokoyami. You pretty much have Tokoyami setting up a emotional high by saying like, hey Hawks, I really wish you could see me now. And so now Tokoyami, in other words, set up a death flag, because it's now saying like, Hawks has an expectation, or like there's an expectation that Hawks should be able to see Tokoyami growing, and maybe that will be squished by Dabi. All that we really get here is that they're playing with emotional stakes. So we go into page 12 and 13, and the most important things here are that Hawks observes the durability of the clones. That's important because for readers, we don't need to know the thing about durability. We already know that from the villain fight arc. The thing that's important here is that it's kind of implying that Hawks didn't know about durability trait. And when you see what he's saying, it seems like he is testing out what exactly is going on with the durability of the creatures or the creations. The next thing is that Hawks talks about sentimentality, which is really important because it gives us a marker for Dabi later. And the other thing is that Hawks pulls out something. It's really interesting. So just looking at the way that the panel is composed, there is a white spot around what he has in his hand because the author wants you to note that he has something in his hand. From just looking here, it looks like a recorder. Does he want to record twice saying something? Like, what exactly is going on here? I'm curious whether or not that's going to be a key item for the upcoming chapters. Now, there aren't any more sound effects with that shot of the recorder, so it's not like he's clicked the button or anything, but I'm going to be kind of curious. Going to keep an eye on that one. Anyway, page 13 is just a brutal shot of Twice's friends being destroyed. Now we're on page 14 and 15. We get some insight on why Hawks goes fast when dealing with villains. I really appreciated that insight, and I really liked how he brought up that nature of the villains that don't give up. It's always interesting to see the don't give up trait applied in different ways or applied to villains in anime and manga. So I love seeing it here. Another interesting thing in this little chat is that Hawks says that the villains that are experienced and have wills of steel refuse to get knocked out. And if you watch the previous videos, the knocked out part, I find it interesting because I was advocating for Hawks to just shut Twice up. Now, Hawks is saying that the way that I'm reading this is like, I could try to knock you out twice, but you probably still get up. And it's like, well, Hawks, I don't know. I think if you cut his ligaments or you cut off his limbs, I think you could legitimately knock him out, or like at least reduce the problem here, right? And, you know, I know that's a little bit too extreme, but this is an accessory of murder. I think it would be okay in the grand scheme of things. But maybe I'm being a little bit too aggressive. You know, even giving him the Griffin treatment from Berserk, I think that would have been fine too. Just like cut off all the tendons. I mean, we already see Hawks' degree of control here. He was able to maim a whole pile of twice without hurting Main twice. So it's like, I'm sure you can cut off some important nerves that go towards the hand. I'm sure you can do it, Hawks. Like, come on. Anyway, my brutality aside, it was still a pretty cool talk. We go into page 16 and 17, which we already talked about at length, but I do like the brutality that Hawks is bringing up here, that someone has to die. I think that was a good thing, and I did like Twice's final stand. As we find out in the final pages, Dobby was listening that whole time. Dobby was there watching Twice get destroyed on multiple counts, listening to what Hawks and Twice were talking about. So good on Twice, because Dobby's gonna defend him. Like, Dobby just heard how Twice feels about the whole situation. He's not gonna like fry that guy up. Other important bits of detail, page 18 and 19, there are quite a few. One, Hawks rolls Twice out of the fire. It's kind of hard to see, but you can make out roughly 2 people in that picture. Also, from where the fire is coming in, maybe the board is destroyed. What I have to show is that on page 16 and 17, the board was still intact, and it was there in one of the shots. So I do think that the author probably destroyed the board, because that would symbolize the friendship officially being destroyed. But I'm not too sure. It's kind of hard to tell with the angling here. And just to like re-emphasize why we know that Dobby was listening in on Hawks and Twice, Dobby's use of words, he specifically says, looks like sentiment tripped you up after all. Tripped is something that Hawks was saying. It's the exact words that Hawks said he wasn't going to be doing, which implies that Dobby was on the other side of the wall listening to Hawks from at least page 12 and 13. Just in case you didn't catch that. Anyway, overall, when it comes to Hero Academia chapter 265, I think it was great. It was a battle chapter, so there were less things to talk about, but there's a lot of cool ideas. And again, the conflict between Twice and Hawks, and listening to the rhetoric of a person that you know is in a compromised position, it's always interesting. It's interesting, and I do wonder how people ultimately come out feeling about these kind of chapters. It is easy to just say in your head, hey, like, you know, Twice is a villain, but there are like a few little nuances here, and there are little kernels of truth that reflect the reality of the Hero Academia world in Twice's talks. Let me know what you guys thought down below. Let me see how long this video is. Are we good? Are we good? Oh, this is a short video. I think I did it. Anyway, everyone, let me know if I missed anything. Talk to me down below. I will read some of the comments when I get the time. And yeah, thank you very much for watching the video. And I hope you stay healthy and safe. Anyway, till next time. Have a great day.